Karen thought she could abuse my family's kindness forever, but in the end, she learned the hard way that even the nicest people have limits. Smash that like button before Karen drains your patience dry. Because this story is about how my family went from being the neighborhood helpers to finally putting a freeloading Karen in her place. And trust me, the revenge was delicious. So, a little background. My parents are the sweetest people on the planet. I mean, the kind of folks who bring extra cookies to neighborhood events, wave at literally everyone, and shovel snow off the elderly neighbor's driveway without being asked. Growing up, they always drilled into me that kindness is free and that being a good neighbor makes the world better. And honestly, they lived by it. For years, that was just who they were. Dependable, generous, the kind of people who get thank you cards at Christmas because they went above and beyond. And then Karen moved in. Oh, I swear it's like every neighborhood has one. You know the type, middle-aged, sharp bob haircut, loud voice. Acts like she's the star of a reality TV show no one asked to watch. At first, she seemed fine. She came by with a smile, introduced herself, said she was a community-minded person. She even brought a pie. Store-bought, but whatever. We thought, okay, cool. She fit in. But Karen didn't come to fit in. She came to take over. And when she noticed how kind my family was, oh, she zeroed in like a hawk spotting prey. At first, it was innocent enough. Could you watch for a package? Do you have a spare egg? Things neighbors normally do for each other. But for Karen, those tiny favors were just the appetizer. Soon, it was every other day. My mom would get calls like, "Can you drive my kids to soccer? My car's in the shop." Or Karen would knock on our door around dinner time with some dramatic excuse. "The store was out of groceries. My kids are starving. Do you have extra food?" And my mom, being the angel she is, would plate up dinner for her kids. But here's the thing. Karen never reciprocated. Ever. Not once did she bring back a dish or even say thank you. And when my mom hinted that maybe she could plan ahead, Karen rolled her eyes and said, "Well, not everyone has the luxury of being so organized." Excuse me, since when is basic responsibility a luxury? It escalated fast. Karen started treating our house like her personal resource center. Need a lawnmower, borrow hours, keep it for a week, need someone to watch her kids, drop them off without asking. Once I came home from work to find her kids already sitting at our kitchen table eating snacks my mom had made like they lived there. My dad grumbled, but my mom kept saying, "She's just going through a tough time." And maybe that would have been fine if it was actually true. But then I noticed something. Karen wasn't struggling. She had nice clothes, her nails were always freshly done, and somehow she always had time for girls' nights out. The kicker? She bragged one afternoon at a neighborhood gathering about how much money she was saving by not having to worry about childcare or meals sometimes. Everyone laughed awkwardly, but my stomach turned. That's when I realized she wasn't clueless. She knew she was using us. She was abusing kindness because she thought we'd never fight back. The breaking point came one Friday night. It was late, like 10 p.m., when there was this pounding on our door. Karen, standing there in heels, dressed up, makeup on, said, "I need you to watch the kids. I have plans." My mom, too nice to say no, let the kids in. Hours later, Karen came home sloppy drunk, heels in her hand, yelling in the street at some guy who had dropped her off. Half the block's lights came on. My dad finally had enough. He told her in no uncertain terms that she had crossed the line. And you know what she did? She smirked and said, "Your family doesn't mind. You're too nice to ever say no." That line stuck with me like a knife. She knew. She knew exactly what she was doing. That night, I promised myself she wasn't going to get away with it anymore. So I set a trap. The next time she came around asking for food, I handed her a couple of expired cans from the back of the pantry. "Oh, sorry, this is all we've got." The look on her face priceless. When she tried to drop her kids off, I walked them straight back to her door and said, "Sorry, we're busy. You'll have to handle it." She sputtered, but what could she do? When she asked my dad to mow her lawn again, he didn't even hesitate. He pulled out his phone and gave her the number of a local landscaping service that charges by the hour. They'll do a great job for you. The more we shut her down, the angrier she got. She even tried to guilt-trip my mom in front of other neighbors, saying, "It's sad when people forget how to be neighborly." That's when I spoke up, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Funny how you always expect us to do everything for you, but you never lift a finger for anyone else." That line was the spark. Suddenly, neighbors started chiming in. One said, "Yeah, she borrowed my ladder last year and never gave it back." Another said, "She asked me for gas money once and never paid me back." It turns out Karen had been abusing kindness all over the neighborhood, not just with us. She'd built this whole persona of being a struggling single mom when really she was just a manipulator. Word spread fast. The group chat exploded with stories, screenshots, receipts. People compared notes. By the end of the week, Karen's reputation was toast. She went from being the poor neighbor who needed help to the freeloading nightmare. Her response? Classic Karen. She tried to spin it. "I thought we were a community. I didn't realize people would be so ungrateful." But nobody bought it anymore. The mask was off. Favors stopped rolling in. Doors stopped opening when she knocked. Phone calls went unanswered. For the first time since she'd moved in, Karen had to actually take care of herself, and the cherry on top. At the next neighborhood barbecue, when she tried to sit down with her usual smugness, the host handed her a bill for her share of the food. She was so shocked she didn't even argue, just sat there fuming while the rest of us enjoyed the meal. These days, she barely looks at us when she walks by. My mom finally has peace. My dad no longer gets guilt-tripped, and I get to enjoy the sight of Karen realizing her empire of manipulation has crumbled. And me? I learned that kindness is a gift, not a weakness. But the second you abuse it, it disappears. Karen thought she could drain us forever, but in the end, she was left with nothing but her own bitterness, echoing back at her.